So let's start. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sorka Finucane, and I'm the owner and founder of TrainedIn. We are delighted to be hosting the Taste for Success SkillNet bite-sized upskilling workshops. And between now and the 18th of December, we are running 60 workshops. And we are delighted to have the fantastic Mark Thornton with us today, who's got a wealth of experience in marketing and customer service, which gives him an all-round approach to this particular topic, which is customer service and the role it plays in increasing your profits. A little bit of housekeeping before we go on. We can't see you and we can't hear you, so please use the chat facility. I know Mark is going to be asking you some little questions throughout to promote some engagement. Use this time for yourself to answer any questions that you may have, or to get as much value out of this time as you need. These sessions are all recorded, and 1 hour after the workshop ends, you'll get an automatic email with a link to the replay. If you don't get it, please pop me an email and I will send you a link to watch the replay. If anybody is interested in further training for their companies, please contact Brita in Taste for Success SkillNet, or you can pop me an email and I will put all of the addresses into the chat in a few minutes. Mark, before we kick off, tell us, what are you going to be going through with us this morning?
Well, first of all, I'm going to kind of get us all on the same page and explain what customer care is all about. A lot of people have different interpretations, and even just looking at the participants in the room, service, a lot of people in the service sector. So customer service actually is kind of a little tricky to explain, but I'm going to explain that, because a lot of people think by doing nice things, that's customer service, whereas in fact, that's actually just doing your job. And doing your job is not customer service. It's a bit more than that. An interesting aside, in terms of the topic, I'm going to deal with complaints and delighting customers and so on. And I have a few gems, little ideas to share with everybody. But one of the things I was looking around the other day, and I found an old article that I had saved, and basically the theme was that if you have a customer and you lose them, the churn element is what we have, and same in hospitality is very, very prevalent. The people who have been with you once and purchased are actually, you're probably the easiest ones to get back rather than a stranger. So the thing about marketing, and you mentioned marketing, the relationship with marketing and customer care is that it takes 5 times more to attract a brand new customer than it is to hold on to an existing customer. So we call it the 5-to-1 ratio. But when I explain that to a lot of business owners, they say, yeah, I get that. That's really good. And then I say, well, what do you spend on the one? If it's 5-to-1, what do you spend on customer retention? And they say, what do you mean? I said, well, if you want to hold on to your customers, you can't just hopefully do it by just delivering a service. You have to do something different. And they then realize, that's training, that's standards, that's quite a few things. So we're going to talk about those things this morning.
That sounds excellent. Really interesting. And it's going to be really interesting to hear the different points of views and maybe get some information or feedback from the people on the call about what they currently do or what they currently experience, which would make it all the more interesting.
Yes, the Q&A at the end will be good. And if there's anything I can send on to people, there's when we deal with complaints, I have articles and things, so people can make contact with me if they felt there was a topic that was relevant that I discussed.
Fantastic.
To send on something, so they'll find me on I'm with DTA Marketing, but they'll find me on Google. So please feel free to contact me directly.
Amazing. Right, Mark, I think we'll start your presentation. I'll pop it up on the screen there for you. I am going to turn my camera off so that it's just you, but I'm still here in the background. So if you need anything, I'm still here, so don't worry.
Swill I start?
Yeah, off you go.
Okay, so actually I'm going to do something different. Gavin Duffy was giving a presentation the other day, and he was giving a few tips on presentations, and he said everybody starts with the slide of your name and what the topic is. How about a story? So I said I'm going to tell a story today. So the story is with the permission of a pub and restaurant in town called Hill 16, And Hill 16 is a well-known pub. They sell the lowest priced and best Guinness in Dublin. I trained the staff on a Saturday, and on a Tuesday, this is a true story, and on a Tuesday, a group of 4 Americans came in from, I think, Facebook or LinkedIn, and they're in Dublin for 3 months on an internship, and they'd heard about the pub, and it was their first night in Dublin. They came in, and my team that I trained engaged with them at an unbelievable level. So asked them where were they from, got their names, gave their name out, and said, we're doing a bingo in half an hour. Would you like to stay for that? They'd only come in for 1 pint. They said, what's bingo? And explained it all. So the long story into a short story is that every Tuesday night, for the time they're there for 3 months, they came in and brought more friends. And occasionally on Saturday come in to watch the soccer and the results. So we estimated that they earned about 3,500 in sales from just engaging with these 4 Americans on their first night in town. And that is customer service. And that was the benefit of actually sticking your neck out and doing a bit more than just saying, how are you, like a pint, here's your pint, off you go. So we're going to get cracking. We've 30 minutes or so. It's going to be whirlwind fast. So I'm just going to talk about there's a bit of concerns at the moment in delivering customer care with all the COVID stuff and all the rest. We're going to look at delighting customers and dealing with complaints. Okay, so let's get cracking. So what's going on at the moment? What's going on at the moment is that there's a lot of businesses closed. There's people wearing masks. COVID is there and thereabouts. So the question is, are we really delivering on safety? Are we seen to be safe? I know in one of my clients, a hotel, they've got a machine a bit like this here that they put in the room after the guests, and it takes 15 minutes to cleanse the room. So the whole customer journey, the guest journey is all very different now, and we really have to demonstrate it very clearly and show that we're different and better, okay? And we're up to date with everything. So if you've been out and about in the new year, have you seen what's going on? You're probably been, and one of you are in forecourts. I suspect it's a petrol or a big forecourt area. Are people observing social distancing? Are the staff coming up with their standards and delivering on those standards? There's a lot of visibility now that we can all see, are people doing the right thing? And I think that's very important. Our staff wearing the mask, or they have them around their neck, as everybody's getting very excited and upset about. So really, standards, customer care, but also other procedures are very, very important. So so what are the issues that are on today? Do people trust us? Just an interesting aside, if we don't deliver, people will go on the Joe Duffy show. TripAdvisor is a big threat. So a lot of people are what's the word? More visible now in terms of and want to be sharing good and bad customer care stories. And when they do that, it's good for business, but at the same time, it's a challenge for us to keep up to those standards. All right. So what are companies doing with the current climate? What are they doing? They're using video, animations, going on social media, telling people what they've done. I mean, in certain industries like the hospitality, they've door opening machines, they've seals on doors to show that the room has been cleaned and cleansed. It's very, very important that we have as much visibility as possible in terms of customer care and showing that we care about our customers, okay? So the question I'm often asked is, what is customer service? And like the seminar I gave recently with Trained In, on marketing, marketing is probably the bigger picture. So marketing is the overriding, focusing on customer needs and wants and delivering what the customer needs at a profit. And you do that in lots of different ways. So you have to communicate. So marketing is about attracting in customers and guests so that they come in the front door. But then we have sales, which is getting them over the line on the purchase, or it could be through online. I know some of you are in online area. And then customer care is about keeping them, and it's about the experience they deliver. So I use these words to kind of describe what customer service is all about. So customer service, in my opinion, is what you do after you do what you're expected to do. Many of you are in the service industry, and we deliver a service. I'm a service provider myself. we deliver service. So just doing our job is the equivalent of a product just doing its job. That's not customer service. So customer service for a service provider is going the extra mile. It's doing something out of the ordinary. It's doing something that they notice and appreciate. A quick story, I got some furniture a couple of years ago from, and I named them Fitzpatrick's in Navan. They got a big double bed and a dresser. And as a lot of people now doing, they're texting and ringing to say when they're going to deliver, and a lot of it's early in the morning, which is fantastic. In the old days when you bought a fridge or whatever it is, you were lucky if it arrived that day, never mind the week, and you took time off work, and it was very disappointing when things didn't arrive. Now it's fantastic tracking, and that's really good customer service, either ringing you, emailing you, texting you, and then if indeed you're a little bit late, that even communicating that. So this guy arrived, he texted me a few minutes before he was due to arrive at 7:30 in the morning to say that he'd be 10 minutes late. And I was thinking, wow, I don't mind 10 minutes, that's terrific, he's on the way. And when he arrived, he explained he had to take a door off for the previous person because they couldn't get the furniture through, and that's what the delay was. So I said, that's fairly legit. Upstairs he goes, brings the bed, assembles it, comes down the docket to sign, and he says to me, before I sign it, he says, now I want you to go upstairs the room and check that everything, the drawers are all open properly, and there's no rubbish left on the floor around the place, and that it's all neat and tidy. I was going, I didn't even need to even go up when he said check it all, because he obviously had done it. It was fantastic. And I said to him, really, you're exceptional. And this is, really beyond what I expected. And I'm in the business of customer service. Oh, he says, sure, I have to. I mean, this is part of my job. It's the most important part of my job. And I said, well, really, I said, it's exceptional. And he says, well, to be honest, he says, I don't work for Fitzpatrick's at all, which I have suspected. He says, I'm a freelance. And by being freelance, I have to make sure that you guys ring back and say, what a wonderful job we did. Or so his reputation was totally based on delivering customer service. And that's really what this is all about, is understanding what things you could do so that you get more customers, or importantly, you keep your customers. So I'm going to give you a quick overview now of some secrets, and then we'll get into some of the meat of the presentation, okay? I've written a book, some of you may know, on winning lifetime customers. I'm pretty fixated with this concept because when you go into a shop for the first time, or a petrol station, or you buy something online, the very first impression is often a queue, and they're roaring, next, and there's no warmth or niceness about it. But if you're a regular customer and they know you by name, they'll say, oh, hi, sir, nice to see you back. How's your mum? And they will know something about you, and you might even know their name too. But if it's a stranger walking in the door, we don't. It's how we treat the stranger. So I often say in my seminars, focus on the strangers. We have the regulars. They're so easy. So it's the strangers is where we need to focus, and that's how you increase your business. And that should be the mantra of the staff. And so instead of looking and seeing a stranger walk in and saying, oh, geez, don't know who he is, look at him and say, wow, if that person became a regular customer, how valuable that would be to the business. And you can put a price on it. You can work out how much an average sale is. So if you're in a hotel and you have a guest and they come 2 or 3 times a year as a business person, or they come with a family a few times for a Sunday dinner, you might think they're worth €500 a year. Over 10 years, 5,000. Tell a few friends, it's another 15,000. They tell a few friends, another 45,000. So before you know it, a stranger who you convert into a lifetime customer with the referrals could be worth €65,000. And that's what your staff need to know. So it's about the staff's behavior and attitude, and we need to work on both. So I'm a trainer, so I kind of always thinking of the owners here, but if you can get the staff to act in a certain way, their behavior, that's easy bit, but you want them to believe in it. You need their attitude to be proactive and engaging and understand. And that's why we need to get our staff and our team to understand why we're doing things. I have a big thing in hospitality about the okay word, because nobody wants to have only okay or moderate or average food. And yet, what do we do when we finish the meal? We say, go up to the table and we say, was everything okay? Was everything all right? And that's not telling the guest or customer that you wanted it to be really good. So that's a big thing in my book. Dealing with complaints. Complaints can actually increase your profits. That seems strange. You can turn a customer around by dealing with the complaint superbly well. I've ordered stuff online, didn't arrive. I rung them up about it, and they said, very sorry, we sent another, didn't arrive. And eventually, last Friday, I rung and said, it still hasn't arrived. That's twice you've sent it. Excuse me, in the nicest possible way. And I was getting, it's a hair product, and I was getting my hair done with that company yesterday. And I said, sure, look, I'll, if the all comes to all, refund me, or I'll get my hair done if you want to leave some product out for me. So lo and behold, the product arrived that afternoon. So I texted him back to say, won't believe it. And he was relieved and thanks. So I got my hair done yesterday, and there in the, I'll name them, the Knights in Dundrum, there in Dundrum was my name on a bag. I didn't take it because I got the product, but he'd already made sure and looked after me. And I was really impressed. And that's what I tell people about. So I will order again and continue to recommend them, okay? You need to look at what customers are saying about you. I'm going to refer to TripAdvisor, which is a lot of ones in hospitality and food, but there are lots of other places where people record positive and negative. Google reviews, hugely, hugely important now, even if you encourage a few of your pals to write a good review. To be noticed, you have to be proactive. You have to go outside the box. You have to stand out from the crowd. You have to have something so that they will remember you by, and they will have something to tell their friends. You won't believe I was in this restaurant, this is what happened. Or I ordered something online, there was a complaint, and they put an extra product in the box. Fantastic. Because businesses are so similar, it's the experience that they remember. It's the engagement. It's the personal touch. And that's really what's so important. Do try and encourage your team and you to make the experience memorable. Consistency is very important. We're going to talk about standards in a few minutes. Everybody has to be on the same page. It's like uniform. We all have to be in the same uniform if you're in uniform, or dress code. If you handle complaints, we all handle them similarly. I was just to go back to the hair thing. Not like ladies, men aren't too particular, but I had found a very good guy, and they kept changing me when I made the bookings online, and I had a new guy completely. And I was just thinking, I hope he's good now because, obviously I want to get my hair cut for today. And but he was fantastic. And the point I could see in the place was they're all trained to a very high standard, very professional. They all do it the same way, all the preparations, all the safety, all those things. So that's really, really important. That shows a sign of a very good company. Doesn't matter who you deal with, you'll be looked after well. You need staff buy-in, the whole team. You look after your customers, they will return. The cost of returning customers. They say that a brand new customer, it's 5 times more expensive to attract a new customer than it is to look after an existing customer. So 5 to 1. But what do you spend on retaining? Do you spend money on the one? And that's what training's about. That's what standards are about. And I'm going to go through those things with you in a few minutes. I'm going to give you some statistics here. I make it very simple when we communicate customer care. There are 3 different types of customers or guests. The top one I don't call happy, because really sometimes people can be happy by just turning up or having going into a restaurant. I call the top one delighted, because you have to do something to delight them. I'm going to show you 5 ways to delight customers in a few minutes. Delighted customers will tell between 7 and 10 others about the good experience. They'll return, they spend more money because they're there longer, and they'll give good tips and good recommendations on social media, and maybe shout out staff, which is very rewarding for staff. Satisfied customers, how many do you think they would tell? I tell you, dissatisfied ones tell between 20 and 30. This is all the research, very well-known research. Dissatisfied, unhappy, but that actually is multiplied by nearly 10 or 100 when it comes to social media. Dissatisfied customers don't return, and they often complain. So back to satisfied. Satisfied, tell no one. Think about it. What would you tell them? So you've been into a pub and you had a glass of white wine and it's chilled. Would you go home and tell your friends? Probably not. You went in and asked for the newspaper and you got 150 change. Correct. Would you shout about it? No, you wouldn't. So satisfied customers do not tell anyone. So that's not a good place to be when we're trying to get retention and we're trying to get new customers. We need to be in the delight section, okay? Albert Einstein, great, clever man, he said the following: and continue to do what you always did and expect a different result is madness. I always encourage people to try to do something different, and it's very important we do something different. If you do something different, it will be noticed, and you might get a different result, i.e. much better result. This is important. Why do customers leave and not return? So this is well documented research. It's in retail and hospitality and service sector. And you can see they buy from friends, they move, the price might be better, or they're not happy with the product or service. So I just wondered, before I turn the page, what is the biggest reason, just think about it, what is the biggest reason customers leave and don't return? Staff, the way they're treated by staff. And the research says staff are rude, unfriendly, unhelpful, and indifferent. Isn't that amazing? It is absolutely amazing. So it may not start off as an issue with staff. So there might be the price is wrong on the bill. It might be that, you know, we've asked for chips 3 times and they're only arriving out now. We're nearly having dessert and they're all annoyed. And the staff blame the kitchen, or they say, no, you never told me, I didn't hear it, didn't take the order, or, you know, whatever. And now it becomes an issue with staff. So that's why staff are so important in the service sector. And that's what people remember. If we can train our staff, we don't have issues, but you will see that they can make a positive difference when they're performing very well, and when they're not performing so well, it makes a really a huge challenge to deliver the service. And in this day and age, even greetings is going to be huge and challenging. So maybe some organizations have to work all that out. People are fixated with review sites, TripAdvisor, and what people look at now in terms of what specifics they're looking for on review sites. They're looking for bad reviews. Isn't that unbelievable? They're looking for bad reviews. 80% of people who look on review sites look to see how bad was the bad review. And did the owner, general manager respond? If there's any bad news out there, they want to know about it and to see how big and bad it is. I stayed in a hotel in London a few years ago, and I had booked it, and then I saw this dreadful review about the wallpaper in the room was peeling off, and I said, oh my God, have I made such a real mess here now booking this hotel? And then there was a reply from the manager, said, we apologize profusely. Yes, that room had a little leak and some of the wallpaper. We have now refurbished room 127, and anybody can come in and look at it. And actually, because of that, we've gone and checked all the rooms for the wallpaper, and we've made any changes we've had to do in the meantime. And I said, wow, that's a good response. So actually, you can enhance your customer care by actually responding to negative comments like that. How do you know how good you are at customer care? The review sites will tell you. Google review, and you can get your 4 stars, 5 stars, which is very good. What are your complaints like? How many complaints do you get a week, or do you get many? With people ordering online, I'm sure there's an awful lot, especially with the delivery. Mine took a month to come from England, would you believe, the recent product. What are the complaints? How many are you getting? Are they centralized in one place? And I'm going to give you some suggestions in a minute. Do you carry out surveys, comment cards? Again, I was at the hair place yesterday, and within seconds, because I'd booked online, as you know nowadays, I got a please review your experience with us within seconds on my phone. I worked with Fergal Quinn in Super Quinn. He passed away about 1.5 years ago, famous for walking about, famous for packing bags. He didn't pack bags in Super Quinn because they were short of staff. He packed bags because he wanted to hear from Mrs. Murphy and Mrs. O'Brien, did they get all they need? Was there anything missing? Was their experience good? And I'd say, maybe 10 hours a week he would spend packing bags. And that was his best research. And we'd have an executive meeting on a Monday morning in Super Quinn, and we'd say something like, this won't work, or will we try this? And he will tell us that he was packing bags in Sutton on Saturday afternoon, and he asked 5 customers, and they all said the following, and that would make his decision for him. He would test ideas with them all the time. And then when you meet customers socially, their guard is down a little bit, and they'll probably whisper in your ear, just to let you know I was on to your staff the other day and this, that, that. So do meet them socially and catch up when you can. So it's all about the customer experience. It's the memorable moments that people share, and that's really what this is going to be all about. So how do we delight? There are 5 ways I've come up with, okay? Very simple. And the first one is actually engaging with your body language and eye contact. In business, if you're in a retail in particular, and I know some of you are, just acknowledging the queue. Acknowledging in reception that you'll be with people in a minute. In a restaurant, nod and say, I'll be over to you now in a few minutes, and let people relax and know that you're looking at the situation. I was in a bank a few years ago, a huge queue at the bank. That's changed now because they're all on machines, and there was one teller. And I was training the staff. I did a bit of a mystery shop, and I said to them the next day, why had you only one teller? Well, you know, there was people behind you in other tasks. And all the people, the customers, could see the staff doing other things, but not attending to the queue. And you could see their frustration. And I said, you can't just deliver a service and not acknowledge when it's gone bad and do something about it. You call for help and assistance. And even managers weren't even thinking, because there was so many in the queue on a regular basis, they got used to it. But if you went into the bank or into a building where there was a queue and you see staff not working on getting rid of the queue, you're thinking, why aren't they focused on us? We're the most important people, the people in front of them. Anyway, rant over. Observation and acting upon it. Seeing that people need assistance, seeing they're lost, seeing in retail that they're picking up stuff and not sure and might need help, go over and offer assistance. All right. Don't be in their face when they're trying to buy stuff, but when they look like they need assistance, go over and help them. One of the biggest secrets you're going to learn from me today is about anticipation. If we do something before we are asked, if we, the staff, do it before we're asked, the customers will notice it. If we offer something, going back to hospitality, it's a very simple thing. We offer the mum and dad who have a little baby a high chair. We give them a choice of seating by the window rather than stick them at the nearest seat that suits us. If we have newspapers that they would like to read or take if they're staying in our hotel, offer it. Don't leave it there and say, oh, if they want a paper, they'll take it. Be proactive and do something before we're asked. It makes such a difference, such a positive difference. Engagement, a short chat. COVID, there's been a lot of chat how people are getting on with COVID, but also where you're from. Like I trained that staff in Hill 16, and I said, especially with Americans, they love to, when you ask them where they're from or why they're here or what's their plans for their vacation or whatever it is. And they did that, and they got the names, which is the next point. And the Americans loved it and the fun. And it got to the stage when they would come in on a Tuesday, some of the locals would even say, oh, the Yanks are back again, and all the kind of fun stuff. And that's really what it's all about. Using the customer's name, it shows how personal you take their service. I train lots of call centers. And one of the first things we do in the mystery shopping, and I have a team of mystery shoppers, to test how my training is going near enough to see, do they get the customer's name on the telephone? Do they write it down? And do they use it at the end of the conversation? And you would be amazed. And there's one story, I'm going to tell you this quick story. The company I'm working with at the moment are in waste management, skips for want of a better word. And this guy rang up one day and he asked about the whole thing, and they gave different examples of sizes and costs and all the rest, and gave the name and got his name. And she said, the lady in the staff said to her, Maria's her name, she said, would you like to order? Oh no, he says, I'm actually going to be ringing around. She says, well, off you go. And you never know, we might be talking to you again later. Very pleasant and very nice. And lo and behold, in half an hour later, he rang back and said, is Maria there? Yep, I want to make that order that we talked about a few minutes ago. And she told us the story. And it was a fantastic story because basically she engaged, very good chat, gave some helpful information, used her name, got his name, and nobody else did that in the business. When he rung around, it's called, this is the price, this is the €335, blah, 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 no engagement, no chat. And that's how she got the business. So it can be hugely down to how people are treated and whether they like dealing with you. And then that's why they would choose you for your business. Setting standards is very, very important, and you can set them for anything. In hospitality and retail, I focus on friendliness, engagement, and professionalism. And even some things in the online business. I know some of you, I think, are sending cosmetics and material out to customers, even just ringing 2 days later to see, did it arrive? That is really, really professional and follow up, and was it exactly what they expected? And factoring that in, so every day you ring a few people. If you're in the online business, you ring a few to say, did you get the product, and to make sure. A lot of people in the industry don't do follow-ups because they're afraid, oh, the product hasn't arrived, or it's broken, or they're unhappy with it. But it sorts out those problems immediately, and then you can take action. So set the standards, train the staff, and then you don't have to worry about who takes on the role of engaging with the customer, because you're all at the same high standard. I think it's very, very important. And standards can be how they look, how the table's presented, how it's packaged. We got a cake for a party in the house last night, and it was in the most amazing box. So the person who sold and makes the cakes was really concerned how the cake got delivered at the end of the day, and it was just in perfect condition. And that was a very good high standard and a great example. I texted this morning to say thank you very much, and she said it's so lovely to hear back from people, and that made her really feel good that it was a great success. So that's again, setting standards, keeping them and delivering on them. I promised I'd deal with complaints. Complaints are a challenge for a lot of companies. They don't have policies. Staff don't know what they're empowered to do. The simplest thing to do is to have a very basic complaints method. And if the complaints if the complaints are genuine, and you want to learn from it, and you want the customer to come back, you have to have a win-win-win policy. I'm a great believer in recording complaints in a central place, so that the owner, manager, whoever can look and see what complaints do we get today, all in one place, and then they can learn how to improve it and change the processes. Now, I'm often asked in customer care, is the customer always right? And here's the thought for you: is the customer always right? You're probably saying, yeah, but they're not always, but you have to say they are. And so they're all probably true. I regard that as kind of a waffly answer, but my belief is that the customer is not always right. That might shock you, but it's true. We know the customer is not always right. Take food, for example. Somebody complains the steak is tough, undercooked, overcooked. The chef has cooked 10,000 steaks. He knows the beef inside out, or pork, or whatever it is, and they know how to cook it. They might make mistakes on a certain day, but they probably know a lot more. Same with the wine, a lot more than the customer. So at the end of the day, the customer, we want the customer back. We may just have to allow the customer to go with their view, even if we know it's not necessarily right. And sometimes, no, they're not just too, they are too fussy. Grania, yes, customers are very, very fussy and very demanding, but they're not always right. So when we want to deal with them, I'm going to give you a little solution here now. And part of the reason I'm saying it's sometimes easier to go along with the customer in a non too expensive way is that a concept called the 110-100 rule. And basically, it's to do with money. If you deal with the customer and you sort it out, either replace the item or fix it up or get a satisfactory solution, it's only going to cost you €1 or €2, depending on the price of your product at cost. If it gets to a more serious level in an organization, so if it's a waitress, this is an easy example and it's not applicable to every industry. If a waitress is dealing with the steak or the curry is too bland or too spicy, and we change it, it'll cost us €1 or €2 at cost, maybe €5. But remember, they're paying a full bill. The concept with complaints is that we want them to pay the bill. That's the key thing, and we want them to come back. If it gets to the supervisor, the build stage, we may have to, and it's not being resolved, we may have to take the whole item off the bill. So it might be a main course, might be €20, €25, the numbers are starting to go up. If it's not resolved on site, it goes to a general manager owner, it becomes like a voucher and becomes more serious. So really my strategy would be, there's a 3-part strategy, which is I'll just show you now. To say sorry, and we're sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry that there may be a misunderstanding. We try to fix it, replace it, sort it out. And sometimes it might need something extra to make up for when we know it's our fault, genuine, upset, we might do something extra. And that's what I call as a +1. So the reality is that you may have to go a little bit further if it's our mistake, a glass of wine, a dessert, or a coffee, or a little extra product, or something in, if you ever, where do we often buy stuff? In rituals and so on, and they're often giving you little samples. So there's always, sometimes there might be something small and modest that you have in your portfolio that you could share as a little gift to say, look, I'm really sorry. Because if we don't do more than just say sorry, people will think we're not taking it seriously. So I've come up with this new thing called traffic lights. So as you can imagine, red is a serious complaint. So if it's a green issue, that means, oh, I'm really sorry, and we replace it or fix it. Orange means they need something extra. They need, because it's our mistake, we can see we made a genuine mistake, and we need to do something like a +1. Red means at the highest level, we need to have a senior person engaged. But if you can train your staff to look after customers and it doesn't go too far beyond the staff, then you're actually in a very good place, because it's sorted out quickly. They're not waiting for a manager, they're not being overheard. And then the manager comes out, and most complaints get legs, and like a spider, long legs when they get to the moment where you can talk to a manager. Because now you're probably saying, and last week we were here, or my friend, and there's all the little issues that come up. So if you can nip it in the bud, you can get rid of the complaints and have a win-win situation. Another thing in customer care is to make sure your staff have good product knowledge and good skills. I'm in awe of B&Q because, and they have very good product, but you can ask any staff member any question, anytime. Where is this? Aisle 14. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they remember where stuff is. I'm looking for a light bulb. Okay, we've got these different types, 4 different types, and not even working in that department. It's just fantastic. So your organization, you need to have all your team up to date. So I'm going to show you a little grid. I hope this is big enough for you to see. So this is a spreadsheet, and I've used a restaurant. And I've broken down the tasks and jobs that Emily and Aoife are doing, and we're going to rate them. We're going to rate them out of 5. So 1 is that they're very poor or have never learned about it, and 5 is they're excellent. They could be training somebody else. So you take, one of the skills is to clean the coffee machine or make coffee, and there's about 7 or 8 different types of, between Americanos, lattes, cappuccinos, and mocha docas, and all the kind of new trendy ones. So you'll very quickly be able to identify on a spreadsheet, do they know it? What different types of coffee you have? What's the key things about cleaning the coffee machine? And very often, just a simple little chat will tell you and how to rate those. And you split the job down. So what it does is it identifies what areas of the business they are familiar with and what areas they're not, what skill they need to focus on, and what skill are training and products that you as the senior person need to do for them. So I hope that's been valuable. It's a whirlwind 30 minutes, and look forward to chatting and taking any questions. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Mark, I had myself on mute. I think that was really interesting. What let me just bring us back to put my camera back on. What I really loved, what you said at the start was what your definition of customer care was, or customer service, which was what you do after you do what you're expected to do.
Yeah.
I think that really kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Well, because you're right that there's your job and what you're supposed to do,
yes,
and what's expected, and it's the after effect really that is where the real bonus comes from a customer perspective.
Yes, yes. Yeah. I think it's always good that in any business, that if you have a philosophy or an ethos or whatever it is, that everybody buys into it. And sometimes you actually have to just verbalize it in a simple way or whatever it is, and then everybody knows it's not just do your best, which is often the mantra in customer service or look after the customers, and you don't say how or why, or give you tips on how to do it.
Yeah, one thing I put in a poll there, which I'll just bring everyone's attention to, and the question was, do you have a defined customer service standard? Because that's one thing that you and I will know, and when you get booked to deliver customer service training, a lot of people or a lot of companies haven't actually defined what their customer service standard is.
Correct.
And customer service means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So therefore, you have to have your own defined standard that everybody works to.
Good
and
point.
We're training in that yourself.
Just on that point, I think it's important to break down customer service into small areas. So that's why I refer to like the standard for friendliness. So it's all very well to say smile, but like there's a lot of other things you could do. And once you define what's in the standard, then everybody knows. So wearing a name badge is part of friend, and a lot of retailers do, and some don't. Or if you don't wear a name badge, then you must introduce yourself by name. All these, giving your name on the phone, all these things represent friendliness. And if you've got about 5 or 6 things, then the staff know exactly what they're supposed to deliver on,
Yeah. And what about managing people's expectations? As in managing your customers' expectations. This is just a question for me, I suppose. In terms of everybody wants to portray say we're looking at a hotel, portray their business as being the best and being amazing. But if you are a 3-star and you've advertised yourself basically as a 5-star, are you not setting yourself up for a fall the minute somebody arrives?
Most definitely. And that is, people write on websites lovely, glowing stuff about themselves. We are the best customer service company, or, you're going to have a wonderful stay or wonderful experience, or our products are amazing. And if you overpromise and underdeliver, that's the death knell in business. So interesting you mentioned 3 and 5-star. Do you know the friendlier service is in the 3-star?
Yeah.
5-star.
Yeah.
5-star staff seem to, I hope nobody's working in a 5-star hotel here now, but a little bit stuck up there. And it's because they think wrongly that that's what's expected by the guest to follow. So they think because they've got a plush lobby and huge bedrooms and lots of stuff that the staff have to all be, but people just cry out for a little bit of chat, a little bit of engagement. So I think Grania says that customers are too fussy, and there is that tendency. There's a little bit of cheating going on in the last little while. I'm sure you probably agree to that. People are trying to get free meals. They're trying to get free product. I was embarrassed ringing this guy to say, twice you've sent me the product and twice I haven't received it. And that's when he left the product in the shop for me, or he said he would. And I was kind of thinking, does he believe me? I'm sure there are people spoofing all the time, trying to get free stuff. And I was so clear with him that I really was genuine and I really wanted the product. And then when it arrived, within seconds, I sent it off to him and he came back immediately relieved, which showed that I didn't want to take that free product he'd let out for me now to follow, so that other people who are genuine will be believed. But there is a lot of fussy pots around. So in customer care, you have to be a little bit, you have to preempt it. So this is why when you're in a food area, and Taste for Success is all about the food industry, this is why when you're in a restaurant, you need to, what I call the 2-minute check-in. You need to go to the table 2 or 3 minutes after you've delivered the food and say, are you enjoying your meal? Not, is it all right? Are you enjoying your meal so far? Can I bring you anything else to follow? And there's very little wiggle room for complaints afterwards. I'm reading Olivia Walsh Murphy. It's all about engaging with your customers, the personal touch, going the extra mile. That's exactly, I 1000% agree with that. And the personal touch can be a simple little thing like remembering something about the guest from the last time. I was in a restaurant, way before COVID, and it was the owner actually. So I suppose she was probably very keen on customers returning. But she said to me, Mark, she said, would you like to have the wine you had the last time? And I'm going, what the God, what wine did I have? And I said, I remember we did a discussion, but I couldn't tell you what brand it was. and the bottle was unusual. And that's how she remembered me being fixated or talking about. And she says, I know exactly which one it is. And I said, of course. I didn't even look at the price. It was just, if we had that last time, it was good. I was going to have it again. But just that she remembered which one I had. And that, oh my God, it blew me away.
And I suppose the whole COVID thing has thrown another spanner into the works in terms of, especially in or I suppose restaurant or hotels, but forecourts and shops where you now have, you're literally mask wearing and all that kind of stuff, which is difficult, and it also kind of takes away from the interaction. Yeah, so you're literally smiling with your eyes.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, sir. And yes, you've got a visor screen, and then you've got your own mask, and the customer's got a mask on. We have to work a bit harder. There's no doubt about it. But we're all in this together, so it's not like you're going in and suddenly discovering if you've come down from Mars and suddenly discover what the hell's going on here. But we do have to make a bigger effort, and even just the chat should be even a bit different about how you're getting on. Are you surviving? Are you going stir crazy? I don't mean long chats. I just mean just a little bit of personal touch and engagement, and that makes a big difference.
Is there any questions from anybody?
Mark Morris, he's in Orchard Print. I know your colleagues there very well, the bold Damien and Finton. Except when they are wrong. Isn't it great you have customers for 40 years? You must be doing something well and holding on to them. Yeah. Well done, Marty.
Right, except when they're wrong. Oh, except when they're wrong. I love that, Marty.
I'm going to remember that one. That's good. So I think you have to give customers the benefit of the doubt, but you don't have to give in to them all the time. I suppose that's the point I was making about the customer's not always right. You don't have to give in. You may just fix it, replace it. But if we do something that we know is wrong, it's imperative that we make up for it. That we show more than just say sorry, pat on the back. We're really, really hurt that we have let you down. And this is the thing about when you do something extra like a +1, or you give more time or more product or whatever it is, that customers know that if you give, say, a glass of wine, and sorry, you're in hospitality, if you give a glass of wine because the food is delayed coming out, they know the owner is going to hear about it because it's product to follow. It's like sending product online and there's mistakes made, the wrong product goes out and comes back and goes out again, and we have to send some free samples or whatever it is. That has to be recorded somewhere. And that's a kind of like a safety thing for a customer, that if half a glass or two or a bottle of wine is given complimentary, somebody has to see that senior higher up. And the hope would be that now that we're giving or have given product or a bottle of wine or cosmetics or whatever it is, that the owner would say, well, what was that for? Why did we do it? We better not let that happen again. We better improve our service and checking system. I remember working with a company and they were getting loads of orders back because there was mistakes. And I said, well, does anybody check the stuff before it goes out? No, we don't have time for it. I said, well, you've got a lot of new people working in the company. There's a lot of mistakes. I think actually you're going to really need to have spot checking or somebody double checking the stuff. So they put in the system and lo and behold, cut out the stuff. And then the staff got better because they not that they were relying upon a checker, but they got better because they were more familiar with the stuff themselves. And the service levels went up.
It's back to that old age problem of you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, or you can give the best training session, but it's actually getting the implementation on the ground. Yeah. So it's your I suppose your management and your supervisory team really need to take ownership of the implementation.
And the standards. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
If you're training all of your senior team, you still have to filter it down to the front line, because if they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, you can't expect them to deliver it. But the implementation is massive.
Yes.
Especially if you've invested a lot of money into the upskilling or training of people in any area.
Yes. I'm reading what Colette said. She's a customer for 20 years in the water system. That's fantastic. And, you know, people will stay with you if you deliver consistently. But it's also keeping in touch. I mean, my marketing hat on here now. I mean, if you keep in touch with people and you haven't seen them for a while, they'll come back. You know, there's all the time there's people trying to nibble away at your customers. And sometimes they do go. I mean, I was with Sky. I went off to another broadband provider. It wasn't as good, and I came back to Sky. And that's the secret with delivering good service. And when you go, and when a customer says, "I'm leaving to go somewhere else," find out why.
Yeah.
And then say, look, you know, because and then you have to spend a lot of money getting them back because you have to do all these offers and follow-ups and so on. But, you know, genuinely, people will come back if you've got good service. And nowadays, people make decisions based on people. Like Marty's in and Colette are in the people business, printing and product and so on. And often it's the salesperson is the one where you keep going back to. So Marty mightn't have the lowest prices of print, but he's very reliable, he's personable, and he calls out. And that's what people want. They know if they order it. I ordered to his company the other day on a Thursday, I think it was. On Friday it was printed and delivered to the customer on Monday. I mean, the price isn't as important when that's what's the necessity.
I was just going to say that. I would pay more for better service. Yeah. Customers are always delighted.
Thank you. Yeah, I used the word delight an awful lot, Colette. And the reason I do it is because you have to be proactive in making a difference. And in industries, the different industries, there's different ways to delight them. I mean, a simple thing, I mentioned it earlier on about following up on an order. I mean, Marty, if I'm sure you've done it, if a print order, brochures or some printed material, he does promotional things like mats and mugs and so on. You deliver them, and 3 days later you ring to say, are you happy with the mugs? You're happy with the product that was delivered? That makes so much difference because it means you care. Now, you might also be doing it because you're about to send the invoice and you want to make sure everything's fine before the invoice goes out, but it looks like that you do care, and that's what's important. Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any more questions for Mark before we finish off? I know we're just coming up to time. I think it's been a really interesting workshop, Mark, and given great insights. My definite takeaway is your definition. I love that. I might even get it printed. I'll get on contact with Marty. But it's really, really good. If we don't have any questions, I would just let you bring your attention to, I have popped into the chat there the contact details if anybody wants to invest in further training. Skillnet will be funding any training that's coming out of these workshops. So you can either email me or get in contact directly with Breda at Info Taste for Success Skillnet. I've also put up a list of the upcoming workshops that are there. So there's some really interesting ones. So if anybody wants to attend, I know we've got some regular following, which is fantastic. Their time. I really appreciate you being here, and it's been fantastic and very insightful as usual and as expected, of course. And we can see all of the lovely comments coming in. Great session. Thanks, Mark Circa. Great, informative, excellent presentation. Fantastic. And everybody.
Can I just say, I'd love if people want to make contact with me on either LinkedIn or just through Google.
Sure.
I have a couple of articles, but one in particular people might be interested in is how to deal with complaints. It's about a 3 or 4 page, really simple step-by-step explanation, and it's designed for nearly the owner manager person who's going to make the decision on empowerment. So if you want to private message me or contact me, I'd love to send you. Or you can put in my email there, Mark. It's MARC.
LinkedIn profile is just into the chat there now. So anyone who wants to connect with Mark there's his details. And fantastic. Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you very much, everybody. We're just about finished now. Thank you again for your time, Mark, and thanks everybody for participating today. We hope to see you on some more workshops over the coming days, weeks, and months at this stage, up until the 18th of December. And if there's any topics that you are interested in, again, please let me know and we will try and get them arranged. Mark, pleasure as always. And have a great day, everybody, and we'll see each other soon.
Very good. Cheers. Bye-bye.